Hey guys, welcome to Lox Farms. I'm going to take you on a little walking tour here, show you what we're growing, how we're growing it, and give you some tips on how you can do it in your own garden, at school, or at home. So this is just a little section of the farm. It's two separate fields we're looking at, and I'm just going to give you an idea of what we have going on here. So everything is planted in rows. All the vegetables are in rows, as you can see, long rows of plants. Those rows are mounded up with high quality composted soil, and then there's a line of irrigation that goes down the row and waters the plants. So we're conserving water. We put it on a timer so we know when it goes on and off, and it goes directly into the root system, which is important. That's a good tip. If you're going to start growing things yourself, watering overhead isn't always very helpful. Next thing we're going to talk about is the soil. Soil quality is very important. That's almost the most important thing. If we turn over here to this field, you can see how dark, black, rich the soil is. That's very important, especially here in Florida, where most soil is sandy and of low quality. You want to make sure you get a nice, healthy, dark, black soil filled with compost, manure, nutrients, minerals. We put rock dust in this soil. We put manure and guano in the soil, and a bunch of different microorganisms to help feed the plants. So we're going to keep walking down the row here. We have some eggplants here. We use the straw or the hay to cover the rows to prevent weed growth from coming in. We don't want weeds competing with our plants for the nutrients and food that they're trying to eat. We have some cucumbers here. In this area, it's all bare. This is going to be where our future tomato plants are growing, but we got a late start due to the hurricane that came through a couple weeks ago. So this is not quite where we want it to be yet, but eventually, later on in the season, tomato plants will be growing up all these poles. This whole area will be filled with beautiful tomatoes and tomato plants. So everything is looking a little young right now because we had to start over. So here you can see some more. We have beans growing here, carrots, radishes in here, some more cucumbers that are on the trellis. If you notice this, the poles with the trellis on them, the white fabric, the white mesh, excuse me, is used for the cucumber vines to climb up. You want to keep those off the ground. Some plants like to live on the ground. Some plants like to live under the ground, like carrots. Some plants like to live up off the ground, like cucumbers. And squash, they like to come up off the ground. Tomatoes, we bring them up off the ground. Here's some more trellises. You can see the poles and the mesh. And there's some beans on there, some climbing beans. Beans are unique. They have climbing beans and bush beans. These are a climbing bean. If you look back past the trellis, I'm going to walk you over here. We have one of our phenomenal helpers. He lives on the farm here with me and some other people. Jack. Jack is preparing this field for future planting. So if you notice, you can see on this area, Jack has already burned it. So what he's doing is he has a gas tank on his back. He has a burner on a wheel. There's 5 burner ports. He's scorching the top of the ground, removing any weeds or seeds of plants that we don't want in this ground. And then we will come through here and put the seeds of the plants that we do want. If you notice, this is the area, the unburned area, that he will be completing later on today. By the end of the day, he will have all of this done, looking like all of this. And then we can go ahead and make it look like that, where we will run the irrigation line down the row and we will plant. Let's talk a little bit about watering the plants. I already touched on it earlier where we use the irrigation, but watering the plants is very important. It would be best if you use rainwater or water like this, retention water. The reason for that is water that comes out of the faucet from the city is okay to drink, but it's not okay for the plants. That water has chlorine in it, and it's devoid of minerals and helpful things that are in natural water. So it's best to try to use naturally gotten water, not city water. So if you guys can collect rainwater to water your plants, that would be best. I stopped here because I wanted to show you what just clicked on actually, and this is our inline fertilization system. So in this bin right here, as I said before, healthy soil is very important, and this is one of the ways we keep our soil healthy. In here we have what is called a compost tea. A compost tea is brewing in this big blue bin. If you notice, right there is a bag dangling with a bubbler in it. That bag contains guano and some different microorganisms. We soak them in the water, we aerate the water because oxygenated water is very good for the plants, and then we feed it with this pump into our irrigation line, and it goes down into the plants, right into the root system of the plants. So we're fertilizing directly at the plant, directly into the ground, not wasting, and giving them food. Food for plants is very important. If the plants don't eat, they will die, just like you. You have to eat, they have to drink in order to live. So I'm going to turn you over here, show you one more side of a field. This is where we have some salads growing. If you notice, Seth, our manager, just turned on the overhead sprinkler. I did mention earlier that we don't overhead water, but in this instance we do. The reason why he's overhead watering right now is he just filled all of these rows with seeds. He just seeded all these rows. So the best way to really saturate that ground after he seeds it is to go over it with a sprinkler and simulate rain, which is essentially what he's doing right now. The sprinkler will stay on for 45 minutes, and then that sprinkler will go down to the next pole, and then that will stay on for 45 minutes, and he will have the whole bed watered by the end of the day, and then those seeds will have a chance to sprout. This is as far as we're going to go here today right now. You got a good idea of what to do, what we're doing, excuse me, and maybe hopefully some tips of how you can do it. But to recap, you want to have healthy soil. You want to try to use healthy water, rainwater if you can. It's okay if you can't, but it's best if you can. And you want to try to feed your plants with either guanos, compost, and some sort of organic fertilizers. Chemical fertilizers are okay for flowers, but things you're going to eat, like vegetables, you want to stay away from chemical fertilizers. So I think that wraps it up. Good luck with your garden, and talk to you soon. Have a good day.